Good morning. Thank you all for being here. We would like to provide the public with some of the details of a recent undercover drug operation conducted by our agencies, which led to the arrest of 2 suspects who were trafficking cocaine in and around Carteret and Craven counties. The suspects arrested are Milton Devon Williams and Kawayne Omar Green, both of whom are repeat offenders. Joining me are Craven County Sheriff Chip Hughes and Morehead City Police Chief Brian Dixon. Our District Attorney Scott Thomas wanted to be with us today. He is a great partner in our drug enforcement efforts, but unfortunately he had a prior commitment that he couldn't get out of. Several months ago, drug detectives from my office and the Morehead City Police Department received information that Kawayne Green was selling controlled substances in Carteret County. Detectives were able to conduct controlled purchases of cocaine from Green. During the investigation, detectives were able to establish Milton Williams as Green's source of supply. Detectives then conducted controlled undercover purchases from Kawayne Green and Milton Williams. This past Saturday, February 25th, members of the Carteret County and Craven County Sheriff's Offices and the Morehead City Police Department conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle operated by Milton Williams as he was traveling through Craven County. During this stop, officers located and seized 404 grams, which is 14.4 ounces of powder cocaine. In total, detectives have seized more than 450 grams, equaling 16 ounces of powder cocaine from both suspects during this investigation. Both Williams and Green have been arrested and have had their first appearances in Carteret County District Court. They are currently being held in the Carteret County Jail on numerous counts of trafficking in cocaine, along with numerous other drug charges which are listed in our news release. Williams' secured bond is $1.2 million and Green's secured bond is $1.4 million. I would like to thank all of the detectives and the deputies who worked on this investigation. They are the ones who are out there on the street every day working to keep our communities safe. I'd also like to thank our district attorney's office and our assistant district attorneys who prosecute our criminal cases. They just do a great job for us in protecting public safety with regard to prosecuting all of the criminal cases, and especially our drug cases that our agencies send to them. And now I'd like to turn it over to Sheriff Hughes for his comments and then Chief Dixon for his comments.
Thank you, Sheriff. I just want to echo what Sheriff Buck said. This was a very well-planned investigation that's been going on for quite some time, and I want to thank the men and women of our offices and the Morehead City Police Department for their efforts, their due diligence, their dedication to making Eastern North Carolina a safer place for all of us to live, work, and raise our families. Once again, the hard work of the men and women that put this together, that followed through, affected the arrest, and now we have 2 bad people that are secure and out of the way of being able to do harm to our public and to spread this poison through our communities. So once again, I thank both of you gentlemen for the hard work and dedication your men and women have done, and once again, just the partnership we have together. None of us have the resources we need, but when we work together, we're able to make things like this happen. We also thank the public for their support, because without them, we would not be able to do what we do. And of course, our district attorney for aggressively going after with us criminals like this and putting them away so they can't continue to do harm to our communities. Thank you.
So I can only echo the comments that both sheriffs have said. Criminals know no boundaries, drug trafficking especially. So these partnerships are very important, not just in law enforcement, on the DA side of things as well, as far as getting convictions. So I'm really proud of the team, the partnership we have here, and I'm especially proud of all the detectives that are doing the legwork and making this stuff happen. Thank you.
I mentioned it, but I would like to reiterate that both of these criminal drug suspects are repeat offenders. And Milton Williams is currently on federal probation. Back in 2010, my office, working with the DEA task force, we arrested Milton Williams and 3 other defendants in a criminal case where they were trafficking cocaine in our county at that time. And Williams was a major supplier of multiple kilos of cocaine being trafficked into our county. Back then, we seized over a pound of cocaine and 14 ounces of crack when we raided the residence at that time. In 2011, Milton Williams was sentenced to more than 20 years in federal prison. But due to changes in sentencing guidelines and commutations by of federal prison sentences by President Obama at the time, he only served about half of that federal sentence. So he was released 1 year ago in January of 2022. So here we are, 1 year later, 1 year after his early release, serving only about half of his sentence. He's locked up again for trafficking cocaine, again. And his co-conspirator in this case also has a lengthy criminal record and has also served prison time in our state prison system for selling cocaine and heroin. So that just goes to show what happens when we go easy on criminals, especially our criminal drug suspects. They don't learn their lessons, and they go right back to doing what they were doing before, and then we have to deal with them. And we have to deal with the aftermath of what they do if they're addicts, feeding their own addictions, selling drugs to our fellow citizens, or if they're drug dealers who are simply looking to make money and put money in their pocket so they don't have to work like everybody else, pushing their poison on our fellow citizens. And it doesn't matter what drugs they're selling. If they're selling drugs, they're dangerous drugs, they're destroying our society, and they're breaking the law, and we are bound and determined to catch as many as we can and put them exactly where they need to be, in the jail and then in the prison once they are convicted of their charges. Now, for those who want to turn their lives around, they have the opportunity to do so. And they have no better friends in the community than those of us who are standing here. We work often with people who have formerly broken the law and have reformed themselves and changed their actions. And every time we talk about drugs and we make a drug bust, people always say, well, you need to get help for the addicts. You shouldn't arrest the addicts. You shouldn't do this and that and the other. Well, we work very hard in our county, in Craven County, in Pamlico County, with our courts to work with offenders who commit their crimes due in part to their addictions. And we have a lot of success stories right here in our county and in Craven County, where Sheriff Hughes has a similar program as we do here in our county, where we work with offenders and those who want to receive treatment and go to treatment and to deal with their addictions and put accountability and stake in their lives and make changes and then to go on to become productive members of society. We work with those folks. We help to get those people back on track. And we also try our best to work in prevention. You always hear, anytime any of us talk about these issues, and our district attorney, we always talk about three things. Strict enforcement, which is what we're talking about here today with this case. We talk about prevention to try to prevent, especially young people, from making bad decisions with regard to using drugs, and recovery. For those who find themselves in addiction, their friends are those of us in law enforcement. We are working with people. We're doing what we can. Our county commissioners put funding towards our programs. We have these programs in our jails where we're working with local recovery homes right here in our county to work with individuals to try to help them to get their lives back on track. So prevention, enforcement, and recovery, we do all three right here in this area. So sometimes we get criticized because we don't do X, Y, and Z. But for those who don't know, we're working hard to do all three of those elements because we know we can't simply enforce our way out of this problem. But where we have repeat offenders, especially who do not learn their lessons, and they squander their second chance, then they need to know that we're going to be out here trying to get them and put them where they need to be if they're not going to abide by the same rules that everybody else in our society has to abide by. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
I was just going to ask, and I know you guys have kind of already touched on this, but the importance of keeping people off the street to prevent harm from others, the other people who have been buying or taking these drugs that they've been providing them, and keeping the community safe, I guess. Is there anything else you'd like to add about that?
Well, nowadays, more especially, and we don't have to have a news conference and come up here and put this out to the public. Everybody in our communities know, all across our country, every time you turn on the television, you're seeing news stories about fentanyl. And in this case, we're talking about cocaine, but people who are buying drugs off the street, they have no idea what are in those substances. Many of the dealers, drugs aren't just brought into our country from one person and then they sell it to the line level person who's the addict who's using the drugs at the bottom of the chain. Drugs are stepped down from person to person to person to person. And people are putting in additives in these drugs all along the way. And nowadays, especially with all the fentanyl that we're seeing, and just a very small amount is enough to cause an overdose and to cause that person to die. In Carteret County, in the past 3 years, we've had 100 overdose deaths. 100. And we're the ones who have to talk to the mothers and the fathers and the family members who want justice for their loved one who is now dead. So here again, when we talk about this, we put the message out. If you are addicted to controlled substances, you need to get help. Many of those addicts are themselves dealers, not because they're putting money in their pocket, but because they're feeding their own addictions. But regardless of their purpose, if they provide a drug to a person and that person dies, they are responsible. And we are working every day to build cases, and we have all these cases that we're investigating, and we've brought charges against individuals. Just convicted a man 2 weeks ago. Just recently brought charges, and we're going to be bringing additional charges for death by distribution for people who are providing drugs that are killing them. And so it doesn't matter if they're providing the drugs to make money or if they're feeding their addictions. If they cause someone's death or contribute to that person's death, they are criminally responsible. And they need to know it. And they do know it. I don't have to come up here and say it and reinforce it. They already know. But they need to know that that's our policy and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to try to hold people accountable for these offenses. Doing drugs today is literally a matter of life and death. Years ago, we would always stand up here and talk about you're going to destroy your life if you get involved in using hard drugs. Now we're telling you, and they already know, if you use these drugs today, you could die. And we have plenty of evidence to prove it. It's not hyperbole when we say that. There's plenty of data to support it. One of you guys like to speak to that?
I'll say this, and I think Sheriff Buck has really said plenty on it. Make no mistake about it, these criminals need to understand we're going to throw every resource we have at them to get them. And as Sheriff Buck has said a number of times, and I've used his statement, they need to be wondering who's next, when we're going to get them. I want them scared every night they go to bed, wondering if we're going to be knocking on their door. And it's really just a matter of time. We will get them eventually. I'm sure these two bad people, criminals that are locked up in Sheriff Buck's jail, were wondering how long they'd be able to get away with it. And they picked the wrong counties to do this in. So my statement to them is, you need to be wondering who's next, because we're coming after them.
Unless you have any questions, I don't have anything further.
Do y'all think it was more than your county's hit, possibly, from these two? Because we know it's your county, right?
Yes, obviously, we've brought charges for what's occurred in our area, but we do have very good reason to believe that this type of activity was occurring beyond the borders of Carteret and Craven County. And when you're talking about somebody who's dealing in this amount of cocaine, trafficking in kilos, they certainly kind of have a wide area most of the time that they're dealing in. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you all
y'all.
again. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.